But that being said, we're going to go ahead and open this meeting up, and we're going to talk about the liquor sales in Pickens County, or what we had briefly talked about. And Mr. Colonel Wayne Crawford, if, I think you've got about 3 minutes, or whatever you think be appropriate.
I'll try to go as rapidly as I can. I do have a few more questions in 3 minutes, but I'll try to be efficient. I'm writing an article on the liquor laws in Pickens County. I'm writing it because there's an opportunity to increase the revenue in the county in 3 areas. It's a missed opportunity that we've had for some time. And with the raise in the millage rate, it's an opportunity to bring some more money into the county. And the money's going to get spent whether we spend it in our county or some other county, and I'd like to just kind of walk through that with 9 questions that I think are very brief. The first part is just to redefine the unincorporated part of the county. Right now you have a map out there that shows Jasper as the primary city. We also have Talking Rock, and we also have Nelson, that are incorporated, some back in the 1883s and earlier. So as I understand the county as the unincorporated area, it's everything outside of Pickens, outside of Jasper, and I don't know if it includes Talking Rock and Nelson. Just a point of clarity would be helpful. I'm not sure that they're in the unincorporated area or they're standalone.
No, they're standalone.
Standalone.
Okay, thank you. So with that in mind, the second question deals with Article 2 of licenses on page 7 of your section on 640, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. But what you've done is you've defined that no person shall engage in municipal wholesale and retailing or otherwise providing malt beverages, wines, or distilled spirits. You then go on and define who can sell malt beverages and wine and the combination laws, and that applies to both Jasper and the county. What's different is that in the county, distilled spirits, the sale of no retail sales is authorized in unincorporated Pickens County for liquor, whether it's 140% or 190%. There's an opportunity, one, to be equal across the whole county, both the city and the county. Counties around us are selling liquor, and it's an opportunity. And I'd like to just further discuss that in a little bit more detail, but I would assume for the county to be able to sell liquor that the law would have to change, either through a referendum or a petition and a referendum or some combination thereof, and I need your thoughts on that.
Yeah, but bottom line, it'd have to go to a vote for the citizens.
Absolutely. And I assume that all along. The nearest I could do for the history, and I was doing a little bit of history just for the stage of the article, is that I know that we have 4 liquor stores that are currently in either Nelson or in Jasper. We also have, they've got licenses as early as 2000 and 1999. I don't know if there was an earlier decision on liquor licenses, and so I just assume from at least 2000 or 1999 we've had the right to buy liquor in Jasper.
You had the legal right to buy liquor, that's correct.
Yeah, whether or not there was a store there, it was illegal because they filed for a petition.
Pickens County has always been a wet county, to give you a heads up on that. Even back during my high school years, you could buy certain flowing entities during those times by whatever means you could be located at. But the whole thing in a nutshell, during the county, the way when it was sole commissioner for that, the county just refused to issue a license while they were in office as this group here come up through the ranks.
So the opportunity to change that, which is where I want to switch to for the 3 revenue opportunities, might be an opportunity for us to increase the revenue. So revenue in the state for liquor is determined by the federal government, the state government, and the county. So in this case, you have a license opportunity right now for a liquor store, and that license that you charge is $3,075. That parallels the same kind of licensing you do at a different level for both your malt liquor, be that beer, and for wine, and obviously the rate's less because liquor costs more. So that's one opportunity if stores were to open, and they can't open unless we authorize it in the county. So there's an opportunity. The second one is sales tax. So without really belaboring, there's a 3% sales tax, and the counties have some right to increase the sales tax. That comes directly from the state back to the county or to the city.
So you got an estimate on what that?
I do in just a second. I'll walk you through that. So that 3%, what that would mean is that right now, Jasper's getting, the city of Jasper can get beer, wine, and liquor because that's what their license allows. The county can only get beer and wine because there is no allowance for the liquor part of it. And liquor is the most expensive tax-wise. And I'll give you just a walk through that in just a second, so that we can go through that. Now, the last part of that is excise tax. And the excise tax can be set, and it's interesting, for excise tax for distilled spirits is broken down by proof. 190 proof is $1 per liter. And this is where it's really interesting. The law is spoken liter in gallons. I won't try to break that out here, but you have to do a little bit of math to see how the state went at this. And the state also has one for $1.40 per liter for anything over 190 proof. And there's a difference between whether the liquor is made in Georgia or the liquor is made outside.
And you're saying that the county would get this money back through the Department of Revenue?
Well, you get it back multiple ways. So the sales tax would come back from the state, and the excise tax would come back from the distributors.
Okay, this is the same state that's doing the TABT, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So the state of, so let me just give you an example. So I went and did some research because I'm the wine writer for Big Canoe, and I've been doing that for a long time. So I went back and I have a Gallup poll that kind of lays out what do people drink in America that are adults. So this is not an overwhelming number. Beer is about 36%, wine's about 35%, and liquor is only about 23%. That's a 10-year average. So if I look at my 10-year average, it stayed pretty close to between 21 and 23% the whole time of adults. And we'll just make the assumption for the sake of an example that that's what it would be in Pickens County. It may or may not be. But you can't begin unless you start somewhere to get your revenue opportunities. So what I did is I looked at the population, back to your earlier question, of what Pickens County looks like. And so we have a population right now in the 2015 numbers of 30,309. And I'm just going to round from here, and I'll do this very quickly. I went then to your birth rate. I've got kind of what that worked out to be, which is about 12.5% per 1,000 adults. Under 5, your statistics are 4.8%. I went to your K-12 and got how many kids are in county today, and that figure is 20.5% of your population for the whole county. And then I got some other figures. But what I did is I went through, instead of the 30,303, I took narrowing those all down. I applied the 23%. I took some people out of Jasper because they were already had the opportunity for liquor. Now the second part of that, then I brought it down and I said, their total population, if you can start looking at the population that's not in Jasper, you're going to have about 4,000 adults in general that could be available to use a liquor store that's not in Jasper. So let me give you a reason why, and I've had a number of my constituents as a writer come to me and say, why isn't it equal, and why am I driving 15 miles to Jasper if I need a bottle of rum to make a rum cake, and I got to go do that, and I got to then turn back, that's 30 miles on short notice, why am I doing it? Or I'm getting it from somewhere else. They're going to buy the liquor. They're going to buy it out of our county, or they're going to buy it at Costco, or they're going to buy it at Total Wines. I don't think we're going to stop them from that 23% from buying liquor. So the question is, what could we do for the long term that would enhance our sales? So if you look at that, to your point, I'll just give you some numbers. If 4,000 adults, which is kind of what I rounded it to, that if we add to the number, and they bought 1.75 liters, and I did it in liters because it was easier to combine them for the math. And you bought 3 1.75 liters, which is good, a bigger bottle if you were buying it, which is what people buy because it's more economical to buy. That would work out to about 3, and I just said they bought 3 every 6 months. So they only bought it every 2 months, whether they used it for rum cakes or margaritas. That would give them, that works out to about $1 tax at 36 liters. That brings in about $144,000 in Georgia tax. So, and that's just a hypothetical at this point, but it shows you where there's a revenue opportunity. If you do the thing for excise tax, and you go through that, essentially what you're going to do is you're going to generate about $600,000 in sales, of which you're going to get about $18,000, because it's just an excise tax out of it, and that's the distributors paying it back to you. But there's an opportunity there then in 3 ways for getting the license itself, and I don't know that a whole lot of people will go out and do this, because nobody's going to do anything unless the law were to change. And then I don't think it's going to be a groundswell, just because of economically feasible, and from a business sense, how many would go in, but at least there would be an opportunity.
And not to get off the subject here for a second, sir, but with that 144K number, is there any other counties that go into this process and they come up with these numbers, and then do they, when they have an election, do they put this thing on a sunset clause where if it doesn't meet their expectations, the law would actually go null and void after 5
I don't know of
years?
anybody that's done that. I do know that we have 5 counties that are still dry. I have all those counties. I've kind of carefully looked at it. Almost everyone in the state's gone to not only increasing their opportunities, Sunday sales, also we've taken our farm wineries and allow us for them to sell out of state. And we've also allowed ourselves to be able to buy liquor, not liquor, but wine from wholesalers that are on websites like wine.com and bring it in here so that you can better do that. I think the trend is up in general. I wrote an article earlier on trends for 2016. I did one for last year. It's not going to go away, and I'm just saying I don't think we want to miss an opportunity to at least have the opportunity to do it. And make it equal within the county and the city, because it's not now. And I know people are just, I don't buy liquor in Jasper because it's not in my normal drive path. If that makes sense. I don't come in here that often.
What is the issue, what's the numbers, what's the percentage rate of the issues that you have for these counties that have went to issue liquor license to the fact that I don't want to say crime, but DUIs, youth issues with liquor, has any of that increased when the county's in?
I'd have to go back and give you a specific example, but I went back and researched it. So one of the things we found out just nationally, when we had dry counties, people would automatically leave dry counties, go to a wet county, buy liquor, and then drink on the way back, and had a higher probability of being in an accident because of that than if they had just gone to their local place and got it.
Yeah, and that being said, they're probably already doing that now.
They probably are
So
already doing that.
I'd be interested to the fact that if what the sheriff's department has done for DUI with the state patrol in the last 7 years to see what the increase has been for people bringing liquor in. I'm just.
No,
sure,
it's a fair question, and
yeah.
I'm recording it so we have a chance to go back and research it for the article, because that's the reason I'm here. I want to, what would be the next steps at this point that we would have to pursue if we wanted to have the law changed. And I'm really writing this for as an article. I'm not here to go out and build a liquor store, but the questions legitimately come up.
Sure.
And I think there's some lost opportunities in revenue that we don't want to lose. They're going to get it somewhere. Now, I know that, kind of an anecdotal to your question, so for example, you have in your regulation, as do a lot of communities, we don't want you to buy anything that's like a single can of beer. So you have it packaged, which says you have to have it in a 6-pack or a 4-pack. Even though Foster's, by the way, has gone to a 24-ounce can as their single sell. So, we all have to change with the rules. So you don't allow splits for wine, but splits for wine means some of your high-end wines, your dessert wines, your late harvest wine, that nobody's going to sit in a car and swiggle, trust me, because they're probably 5% in terms of alcohol and they're more sugar, but they're designed but those are always sold in a smaller quantity. Now our regulations don't really allow it, so people who even can sell wine, for a lot of cases, aren't able to sell that. So, there's some things that we could do in the county just to clean up our own regulations to make it smarter and easier and guarantee that we increase the sales, because they're going to get it somewhere else. I was at Sherlock's talking to the owner yesterday, and he sells splits, both in town center and the one downtown, just to get a sense of, as a pre-interview, what are you doing? So I think our real pitch is what would be the things that we would have to do and that would outline for us to, if if we were going to change the law, what would we have to do to change the law?
But we're gonna have, speaking for myself, I can't speak for the other two individuals, speaking for myself, we need to have some more conversation on this. There is some more questions I'd like to have to address further as we go forward, because whatever we do in the next 2 months is not gonna get it on the
Oh,
ballot
no,
anytime
no,
soon.
this is long-term.
So we have some more stuff, we'd like to, if I can get a card before you leave.
Sure.
So we'd like to stay in contact with you on this issue as we go forward.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time.
And
Other questions, Becky? Go
I
ahead.
did, I had a question. I think you said the cost to get a beer and wine license is $3,075.
Just for, if you're going to open a liquor store,
Right,
that's the license that you have in your regulation. It's different if you're going to do, it's graduated. If you're just going to do beer, it's one figure, makes sense. If you're going to do beer and wine, you have a combination license. The way your current regulation reads, whatever that base license is your renewal license. So that's really the point that I'm making. So for the 4 stores, or the 3 stores that you have right now, they're having to pay you $3,075, an annual fee at the end of the year, or the beginning of the year, in order to renew their license, if they're following the rules. Now, I don't know whether I'm not involved in, I didn't ask anybody to share with me that, but assuming they're following the rules in order to do that, they're also being audited in part by the state, and if we're going to pay sales tax back to you, we have to know, validate that, and if we're going to pay excise back, there's a cross-reference between the state checking the vendor and checking the retail outlet.
if the state would share that information, the issue we've had in the past on sales tax revenues coming from retail sales was that the state did not break it down for us, or they would not even give us the information to break it down.
I think by the liquor laws, and I could be wrong, but there's a requirement to do that, that doesn't mean they're doing it.
That way, I didn't, liquor was not my
Yeah, no,
topic.
no, and it's
But anything else, my thought was, and to go back to that question, was the fact that I'd like to know exactly how stores are doing in the area to where you know what the retail sales, and I could not get that from.
Well, one of the things I didn't do, because I wanted to talk to the commission first, I've interviewed only one store, just to get a general sense. I have interviewed the IGA in Marble Hill, just to see from their take, and they don't do liquor, they just do beer and wine, and that's it. And I had them walk me through their sales tax and excise tax, so that's how it's done. Is it consistently every year? Well, in some odd cases, it's only spot check, because they have to go back to take a distributor and look at the distributor sales against what you said the sales were. Match them up, and then they say, did you honestly give that back to the county? Because it's really coming back to the county. And in this case, the liquor sales is not coming back to the county, because you don't have any county stores that are selling liquor. And that's, I think, the missed opportunity for the long term. If you're projecting growth for the long term, which you are on your website, and you can continue to grow, then for the long term, 3 or 4 years from now, you ought to be in a position where you can do that. And if you look at facilities that are running weddings and those kinds of things, that always at the last minute, they need an opportunity to go get something, they'd like to have that opportunity, and they don't necessarily want to drive 30 miles to do it. So they're just, that would be my pitch. Becky, do you have another question?
I think that's it. Thank you very much.
And I'll be glad to wait to the end, and we can talk a little more as we need to. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I know we give you a little more than 3 minutes, so I'm gonna have to get on with it. Item number 2, of course, is animal shelter. I got Mr. Poore and Susan Horton here. They have made a presentation to me that didn't take too long, so if you can kind of speed up to these other 2 individuals, I think they need to take a look at this. Thank you.
What we're going to talk about. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Poore. I'm the founder for the Bark in the Park Jasper. This will be our 5th year doing that. This is Susan Horton. She's with Horton's Quality Canine, one of the few manufacturers that makes dog products here in the United States.
You might know me as Horton.
And Horton's Pet Supply. And
Jenny
from Paws We Care, who is a nonprofit here in Jasper that does spay and neuter programs. First, I want to talk about, we're not here to bash about anything that's going on. We're just going to point out a few things and hopefully help improve the adoptions for the dogs and the cats here in the county and stuff. The shelter has one of the highest adoption rates and the lowest euthanization rates, we're like 2% in the state, so we can be really proud of that. I mean, that's a really good number. Then we also, the shelter has a really good public presentation or presence on the social media like Facebook and other ways that they're able to get the dogs out to be adopted. The issue that's been coming up is what's known as the bully breeds. Those are your pit bulls, your German shepherds, Dobermans, Rottweilers, stuff like that. We need to have a kind of a special temperament test performed by a trainer that is specialized in these bully breeds. And if the dog passes this temperament test, then the dog should be able to be allowed to be adopted in this county or outside of the county. And if it doesn't pass this test, then the dog must be placed on given to like a shelter or a rescue that specializes in taking care of these dogs and retraining them so that they are no longer an aggressive threat. And it gives them a reasonable time for the rescue to come in and take the dog. And then we can also do like further evaluations and possible training. I'm going to let Susan talk a little bit more about some of this stuff.
Well, we also, as a majority of the owner of Horton's Pet Spot, been here 5 years. And just one of the other issues that was in the paper this last week about dog bites. And one of the, I think, the issues is that Pickens County should adopt and enforce a countywide leash law. Right now, Pickens County does not have a leash law. And I myself have experienced dogs chasing me down the road and stuff. So I thought that this is only one of our requests to ensure the safety of its citizens from dog bites and other health issues, such as if they do get bitten, don't have a rabies shot, and that person has to go through a real hard round of rabies vaccinations and shots. So looking into other counties, I suggest for the commissioners here to look at other counties with the same population as Pickens County for good examples to follow to adopt. And that's, just my suggestion. And the suggestions for the future of Pickens County Animal Shelter that does a wonderful job. They do. I mean, the adoption rate is phenomenal here, and so I'm very proud of what they do. But it could be a creation.
We want to back up. One of the things we want to cover is for the people that are caught with their dogs, that have been aggressive, that have bit somebody. Our fine system for the people that have those dogs that have those issues is extremely low.
Normally what happens on that point, once you have a biting dog, it goes into the sheriff's department, then that particular thing's then taken through the state health department. So it gets it out of the county's hands and it goes to magistrate court. I'm all in favor of the fact that, we need to do something. But counties with 30,000 people, just to give you a heads up, there's not many counties with 30,000 people that even have an animal shelter, have a leash law. So there's some issues there. And then, of course, when you start looking at leash law, who's going to enforce all this? I just have one county marshal, and I've got people chewing down my neck because they don't want to raise taxes. So, these are things we have to look at as we go forward. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So, because we were going by looking at the things that from the article that was in the paper about the number of dog bites so far this year is like around 50. And that is they consider that a low number, but to anybody, they would still survive. And then the other things we're looking at is coming up with suggestions for the future for the animal shelter is a creation of a Pickens County Animal Care Advisory Board. And this will be formed by the citizens of Pickens County and is not related to anybody that's an employee of the shelter or an employee by the county. And this board will be the ones that will listen to the complaints and suggestions from the citizens and the employees of the shelter, and then they will advise the Board of Commissioners on any recommendations they have for like new policies that are needed at the shelter. And then they will also be able to be the go-between to work with other nonprofits on educational programs and on responsible pet ownership and stuff like that.
With your recommendation here, would the employees that work over there now, would they answer to the board, or they still answer to the Board of Commissioners?
They would answer to you. They still answer to you, but they're basically like Switzerland. They're the neutral territory, and so they're the ones. Yeah, they're the committee, so they can listen to what's going on from over there, suggest changes, and then bring it to you, and then back and forth, and then take it back to them. And there would be more of the, I guess you would say the advisory board would be more of a.
It just allows the shelter to be able to have somebody to talk to. Might be resolved within that without having to
Without coming to
have a
you.
blow up, you know?
Well, you two had talked here a couple of weeks ago when y'all met me in the office to the fact that you were looking at possibly there was an entity that would take over the shelter.
Residential.
Right, that's the next one. And then the other thing is that as we go further along, is that a newer and larger, more modern building with a larger piece of property for the animals to have room to run and for the doctors to have room to visit with the animals. And that could be supported by like a local SPOS tax.
That's huge.
But that's for like going into the future because you've got a big enough piece of property that you can expand on over there. And then also the Pickens County Animal Shelter later on, as we can look into it, is like merge with the Humane Society in the future to help with funding.
That's how other, like Columbus, City of Columbus, and in Ohio, they merged with the Humane Society, so they can go after big sponsors for tax deductions and stuff like that, and that's the possibility I was talking about. This
Would
is
it
something
be-
that has to be worked on, because it can't be done overnight, because Humane Society and other nonprofits have to have a good foundation, and then they can go and present it out to us.
Would you mind, or would you have time to pull me a list together of the cities and counties that have merged with the-
Yeah,
with that?
I've
And
been
send me a
studying that
list
for
where I
2
could do
weeks
some,
now.
do some.
That's 2 weeks now, and a lot of them have done it in the state.
Cherokee does it, I know.
Cherokee does?
And City of Columbus has done it, in Toledo, Ohio. they have-
Dawsonville, I believe, has done it as well.
And then when this is, and if, like in Cherokee County, since we're gonna talk about this just for a second, Cherokee County has already partnered with them. When that happens, what does it do for the control of the shelter itself? Does it take it out of the hands of the commissioners, or do they run day-to-day
You
operations?
know, I don't know, I used to know the guy that was the commissioner there, he started it, he's the one who started all of that. My husband knows him real well, I'll ask. I'll
Well,
go and see what I
as
can
far
find
as
out.
of all my studies I've been doing, it's totally Humane Society.
Yeah, they have control of it.
Because it's a nonprofit 501c, and they do totally, but that's something that, one thing, like you said, we're real small. So it has to be a big enough area for them to support it for a nonprofit to do
The
it.
question I would have, like for instance, Cherokee County, was the fact, how much of that do they take over, and what responsibility they still want the county to be in? In other words, does the county still have to pay the staff, do we have to pay the
Right,
gentlemen to go out
right.
and retrieve the animals? What's the bottom line? is what we're
I
looking at.
do know that the Humane Society itself became self-sufficient. Now, as far as the animal control portion of it, I don't know. I would have,
You
in
think
Cherokee County, in
became
Cherokee
self-sufficient?
County,
Yeah.
the Humane Society became
But
self-sufficient.
they still have animal control under the county.
I
What
think
they do is they have to go pick up the animals, but then they either kept there or took them to the shelter that's the Humane Society.
The Humane
I've
Society
never
pulls
seen,
out.
I never seen the Humane Society do animal control. They just take care of the animals.
Does that handle under the sheriff's department or still under the commissioner through a marshal tax?
I don't think it's through the sheriff's department, but now I'm not sure. I didn't even know this was gonna come up, so I'm
Yeah, I know.
totally
I'm
unprepared.
kind
I'm
of putting you
not,
on the spot, that's why, you know.
yeah, I wasn't here, you
I like
know.
these informal settings where we can ask
Well,
questions.
in the city of Columbus, I lived down there, but I was very involved in that. And what happened, the city of Columbus had a pretty good little shelter like y'all do now. And then when the Humane Society came up, they built the new facility, got that going with Splosh. Because one thing, the Humane Society, they don't have a lot of money. So the new building came up to, and then what they did was, as soon as all of it was done, the Splosh paid for it, they turned it over to the Humane Society. And it's been doing very well since then. But it's just that they have to have enough businesses around and all that. But animal control is still animal control. So the sheriff still does that. It's just when they go to the shelter or.
Now, wait a minute, but animal control still, I'm from the sheriff, you're talking about in Columbus, Georgia.
Right.
Yeah, in still Columbus, they do pick them up, and I believe Pickens, Cherokee County, they still pick them up, because my granddaughter was just bitten by a dog there, so the sheriff's department, they have their own animal control, but as far as the shelters are Humane Society. That way they handle the adoptions, the care of the animals, it's just.
Well, that was where I'm going back to her. I didn't know if the county still needed to sponsor the control officer that's having to go out there and actually retrieve the
Yeah.
animal.
I believe they
or
do.
turn it over to
I
the
don't
sheriff's
know, but I
department.
believe
Because
they
it's a
do.
safety issue under the laws of the state, you have to, that's what I was talking about, the leash law. That's still a safety issue, because Humane Society can't go out there and be riding up down the road. They just take care of the actual housing of the animals.
Excuse me,
Right.
any info that you get on that, would you copy us? I'll give you the email.
Oh, yes, I knew this happened in the city of Columbus, and it worked out very well. So, and it's something that definitely could be doing, working on this in the future, you know?
Okay, and then I'm gonna
And
let,
I'm just here, my name is Jenny Aronson. We started a nonprofit spay neuter program here in Pickens County. And last year, we worked really hard to try to raise money. We ended up spaying and neutering 47 dogs. We also helped a couple of people that were veterans. We decided we were going to do a veterans program that were destitute and needed money to help their animal. Their animal was sick. And that really drained our coffers. And we really worked really hard. Last year, in 2015, we did a shoe drive. And a lot of people gave us shoes. We collected 1,000 pairs of shoes, and in return, we ended up getting some money for it, $750 to start with, and then we got another $250 at the end of the drive. But I was really disappointed in the amount of support we received, and I'm not pointing any fingers, but I brought a tub up here. I don't know how many people work up here at the.
In the admin building?
Yes.
I don't know, about 50,
Okay.
45.
45, well, no offense, but just I'm using you guys as an example. I brought a tub up here to collect shoes, went around, talked to everybody. The first week, we had 11 pairs of shoes. The next week, we had 3. And the week after that, somebody was using it for a trash can. So that is just representative of the way the attitude is towards spay and neuter in this county. We need support. We do a great job. When we have the money, we can get people's spay and neuter certificates really cheaply. We need it because it lessens the amount of animals in the shelter, and it also holds down the amount of disease that ends up in the shelter because we keep a lot of puppies from having to go there, litters, unwanted litters. So we really need your support. If anybody after this would like a card, I will give you a card. But just please spread the word because we would love to have more support in this county. We need to raise funds so we can keep spaying and neutering dogs.
because when we're able to control the pet population, then it actually lowers the stress levels of the shelter and the dogs that go in there and stuff like that. And it also will lower the aggression rates. Because when the dogs are kept in these confined pens, you know, they're out of an environment that they're normally in, and it changes their behavior.
Well, normally we had a process going over there where a lot of these animals were taken up north and were shipped out of state. And as far as I know, that's still going on. If that has changed, nobody has notified me.
No,
that
anytime they
has
can get them out of there, Judy does a fantastic job. I called them Friday because I was in Marietta and all my neighbors called and said there was a litter of puppies dumped. I came home Saturday, called the puppies, took them to the shelter.
Whoa. What county was this?
Here,
Oh,
here.
okay.
But I was out of town when everybody,
Oh,
my neighbors
okay,
called.
okay.
I couldn't catch them. I got them up to the shelter Sunday morning. They met me up there on an off day when they were cleaning, and Judy got them out of the shelter the next morning. I was thrilled to death. She did a fantastic job.
Good. All right.
That's a great. Any questions?
Any questions?
All right.
Any questions or anything, or?
Now, please stay in touch.
Oh, we will.
And like Becky said, they're gonna give you an email. You can stay in touch, although we can email back and forth.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll
No,
keep
thank
that.
you.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, this brings us up to the budget transfer policy revision. I think you all have got a copy of that, what Ms. Fay has come up with. And this, if I'm not mistaken, Fay, correct me if I'm wrong, this revision that you have here, other counties have already instituted this policy in their guidelines?
Yes, several counties have. And Phil has, a couple of the elected officials have I think may have a problem with this. But what the commissioners asked me to put together, because it came up during one of the sessions, that right now the way that we do budget transfers in our financial policy, I can approve any budget transfers that a department head or an elected official send in, as long as it's within their function, within that function code. And that is our legal level of control, because that's how we advertise it, by function code. But a lot of counties have that, and also ACCG recommends this, that the department heads or elected officials can transfer money within that budget as long as it doesn't transfer from or to salary and benefits.
Let me, for the sake of the camera, may I read this? This is just, believe me, this is just a draft proposed, hasn't been approved yet, but I'm going to go ahead and read what the change is going to be. It says, within the overall budget limitations, the finance director has the authority to transfer funds from one budget line item to the other without regard to the category except those related to personal services which are salary-related items. The Board of Commissioners must approve transfers of any salary-related item. No increase in the overall budget can be made without the approval of the Board of Commissioners and amendment to the budget. That is the change that she is talking about here. Granted, again, it had not been approved, it's just a draft, so we're talking about
It's
it.
just a proposal, because that did happen this year, and then you all were not aware that, I mean, you get a copy of the budget transfers in your report each month, but I know you don't study those, so.
But this is just in regard, and again, this is just in regard to the salary-related items. If elected official or department head needs to move money within his budget,
Yeah,
that's not good.
if they need to move money from supplies to repairs or something like that, as long as it doesn't change the total amount of the budget, they can do that. And they have to do that. If they send in a purchase requisition and that line item is over budget, then accounts payable sends them a request for a budget transfer so that that line doesn't reflect over budget.
Okay.
But right now, we don't have a policy that anyone you can transfer money from your salaries line down to your operational. And that's an item for discussion.
Oh, I'd like to get it. I just, I was going to talk today about some of the issues, and with my friends at ACCG as well.
Well, that'll be something else we'll need to bring up again and have some more further discussion on it, and something else, you want to take a further look. It's about approximately 22 minutes till. Paula, you got anything in human resource that you want to talk about right quick? Connie? Faye, anything else other than?
The only other thing, your budget, your 2017 proposed budget books are ready. They're back on the table in my department. And it also has a recap of total proposed versus the 16 approved budgets. And so maybe you'll have time to look at those next week, because the budget meetings do start on the 17th.
On the 17th.
17th, 18th.
When's the first one? It's on the 17th at what time?
Monday morning at 9 o'clock.
Okay. Anyone else? Richard? Everything fine? Oh, yes, sir.
Is this general comments?
It can be.
My name's Rick Shahome, and my partner, Dr. Randy Mickey, purchased the Northgate Station Shopping Center in March. And we are coming in front of y'all on the 18th for our liquor license. And I came at Richard's suggestion just to hear what was going on. We are unable to have Sunday sales, as you know, and we're fine with that right now. But in the future, it would be very important to us and very appealing to us to have Sunday sales. Big Canoe does have Sunday sales, I believe, because they're a resort.
Yeah, they're classified as a resort.
Right. And we would certainly in the future like to have that. We kind of like the idea of our employees having one day off regardless, kind of the Chick-fil-A mentality.
Well, if you have liquor sales on Sunday, you gotta have somebody to fill that slot, ain't you?
Yes.
So where do you get the one?
But we also want to start, we don't want to open everything up to start with. We're going to take it slow, and there's actually 2 facilities in the restaurant. We'll open the first for night only, probably within the next 3 weeks. The dentist office will open probably next week. And then we're anticipating opening a business center. We did get high-speed cable into our shopping center, which Steve will like.
Yes.
We got a crank on the side there.
So we're hoping that the people at Big Canoe, who have horrible internet service apparently, and at Dead Tree, as I understand now.
And that's why the alcohol issue come up.
Right. That's one of the reasons they saw. So anyway, we're getting engaged with the community. Randy and I went to high school together in Sandy Springs 100 years ago. We've known each other for years and years.
You're still speaking.
And we're still speaking, we're still best friends, and we've come through this and we're still best friends. And it has been quite an experience. But we're excited about being in the community. Randy's moving up here into Big Canoe permanently. I live in Alpharetta, so it's just I love the commute reverse. I'm used to going south in the morning and north at night, and now I go the reverse, and if there's no traffic, and I look at horse farms. So that part of it's been wonderful. And so anyway, we are getting the center up and running, more engaged with the community. And the alcohol issue is something that we are interested in, and we would certainly want to stay involved in where that goes.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Fay, Mr. Jerry, y'all have any other questions for the group? We'll be around here just a few more minutes. I know we got 11 o'clock. For those that don't know, ETC is having a community luncheon down at the community center here between 11 and 1:30. The meal is free, so y'all please show up and enjoy yourself. It is barbecue, so you can eat it for lunch, and you'll probably, like me, probably eat it again at supper. But y'all please take advantage of that while they're coming.
May I ask one question?
Sure.
Does your offer still stand if we could do a fundraiser and host it downstairs for spay neuter?
For what now?
For spay neuter.
For payment?
We had talked about it.
Yeah, we did. I have no problem with that. As
Okay.
long as it's downstairs, you can use the
Okay.
bottom entrance
Okay.
to that point.
Yeah, we would.
Preferably not a Saturday or Sunday.
Okay, because you'd have to have staff there, yeah.
No, well, I'd have to be here,
Okay.
and I'm not a
Yeah.
Saturday or Sunday. Don't worry about staff, I've got to be here.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any further questions or comments before I dismiss? Well, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a good weekend. Be safe and watch out for the hurricane. Thank y'all for coming.